with my first fantasy MVP. And I'm going to start with more of a chalk pick. And I'm going to get a little bit deeper as we go. But this first guy is Davante Adams.
Yes.
And for me to make Davante Adams my fantasy MVP, because he's already going in the back of the first, early second round, this is me planting my flag and saying Davante Adams is going to have a historic season in 2020. I'm talking like Adams is going to be the Michael Thomas of the wide receiver position in 2020. I see a monster year coming. And this shouldn't be any surprise to anybody. Over the past 4 seasons, he's been the wide receiver 11, wide receiver 8, wide receiver 1, and wide receiver 6 in PPR points per game. So Davante Adams is a proven stud. He's someone that's been doing it for years, and if you lock him in as your wide receiver 1, you know exactly what you're getting. And look, I know there's this narrative around Davante Adams only having one 1,000-yard season in his career. Well, guess what?
Silly.
He literally had
It's
997 yards twice, and one of those he missed 4 games. And then there's another season where he would have gotten there, but he missed 2 games. So I don't want to hear it. Like, he's been the primary or one of the primary targets for Aaron Rodgers for 4 seasons. And if he would have had a full bill of health, he would have had 1,000 yards in 3 of those seasons and 997 yards in the other with double-digit touchdowns. So I don't want to hear any hate on Davante Adams at all. But for me this year with Davante Adams, it just comes down to the target volume, man. I mean, 2 seasons ago, Adams had 169 targets, which is ridiculous. And last season, he was on pace for 169 targets for a full 16 games. So when I look at 169 targets in back-to-back seasons, I think, 1, he can repeat it this year. And 2, I think that could actually jump up to be a lot closer to the 185 targets that Michael Thomas saw last year. Last season, with that 169 target pace, it was the fewest pass attempts Rodgers has thrown in a fully healthy season since 2014. Wow. So if he regresses a little bit more to where he normally is in terms of pass attempts for a full season, the overall volume on this offense is going to go up. And I don't think Davante Adams' target share is going to change. The Packers did nothing to bring in help on this receiving core this offseason, except Devin Funchess, who opted out for the season. So they're literally left with less than they had last year in terms of pass catchers.
The situation is better this year.
It is better. The situation is better, and this is like so narrative street, but Rodgers, like everyone's talking about, he has a different fire lit under him this season. He is pissed off. He needed help in the draft, and they went out and drafted his replacement, and then a running back that they didn't need in round 2. I think Rodgers is out to prove something this season. I think he is going to go absolutely ham this year, and if that's the case, it's going to have to be Davante Adams. I mean, the volume is one thing, and the best thing about Adams is the volume could take him to absolutely elite status in terms of receptions and yards. But one thing that's his strong suit is catching touchdowns. He had 3 straight double-digit touchdown years before last season, second in the NFL in receiving touchdowns each of those seasons. So I think he's going to get back there this year. And when I look at what happened last year, 1, he did miss 4 games. But if you really dig into the red zone numbers, he had 12 receptions in the red zone last season, 8th in the NFL in red zone receptions, but only 3 went for touchdowns. So a 25% rate of red zone catches that went for touchdowns. When you actually look at the 3 years prior, 63% of his red zone receptions went for touchdowns. And I did a film breakdown on Davante Adams. It's on our channel if you want to check that out. But there were several occasions where he should have converted for a touchdown in the red zone, but he was either tackled at the 1 or Rodgers threw it behind him, or there was like a lucky tip by a defender, batted down at the line. So Adams legitimately could have still been close to 10 touchdowns last season, even in less games. I have him as my wide receiver 1 this season. I am super confident in that. If he plays 16 games, I think there is no reason he will not be the wide receiver 1 in all of fantasy football. I've got him in several leagues, and I am super excited to see what this Packers offense can do this season. I think they're going to be back, Steph. And if you have Davante Adams on your team, you should feel pretty good about it going into 2020.
When you watch Adams play, like he's just literally beating guys on the outside. And he does this signature little skip.
His release ability and his ability to use his body is unbelievable.
He does this little skip at the start of almost all of his routes, which makes anything that he does super ambiguous. It's not like these defenders can look at his film and be like, okay, I know that he's going to run.
He hits him with the hezzy.
And sets him up, and then he knocks him down. And like, you know, I know after the film room we were talking, like you were saying, look, like I was trying to break down the film, but half of the plays here are just Adams running a fade and Rodgers just throwing it up for him. So, no, I think he's going to dominate, man. You know I'm hyped for Adams as well. I think he could be – actually, he will be. Put it on record, a fantasy league winner in 2020.